Hi, everybody. God bless
Hello.
grace. Shelby and Steven here. I'm so glad for
Hey,
the both of you and glad that you joined me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for
absolutely.
having me.
It's always fun to see your two beautiful faces.
No.
So tell me, are y'all ready for Christmas and or the holidays or whatever you celebrate?
I didn't even realize that Christmas was this coming. Like we're just days away from it at this point. Days away. One of my clients was like, "You realize it's next?" They said they were going to get some documents in before Christmas. I'm like, "That's too far. You have to do it like now." And they're like, "You realize it's just around the corner, right?"
7 days.
So everything's moving quick. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
you
my,
better get to shopping.
right. Yeah. My oldest daughter's birthday is on Saturday. And she's like, wait, we're
Oh,
spending the day together, right? And I'm like, yes. She's like, all day. I'm like, yes. You're going to help me decorate, right? Because that's tough.
you
Nothing
haven't
like
decorated yet?
no, I haven't done anything.
Oh,
No,
girl.
I've
I just
been.
did mine last night, so I don't blame you.
See, don't judge.
Yeah. Look,
Oh, I
I
don't. You
used
know I
to
don't.
I used to do decorate the Christmas tree parties at my place, and I would just have all my friends come over, and they would go through all of my bins and tubs of Christmas decorations, and I would bring food and drink, and I would let them do everything.
Ah,
Doing the decorations is not my thing, but a lot of people enjoy it, so I let them do
that's a good idea,
it.
actually. That's a really good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's get into real estate. So talk to me about what you're seeing in real estate trends right now and what the market is doing in your respective areas. Whoever
Shelby,
wants to start.
you want
Ladies
to go
first.
first? Yeah.
Okay. So it's been an interesting year for sure. I think we were on this a year ago, and when it was
Thank you.
December, I think I should have pulled that to kind of compare. But what I find interesting is normally like in December, I'll look at November of the year this year and then
Mhm.
November a year back. But like that time frame is super weird. Like rates went up like crazy in the fall, and so that kind
Yes.
of freaked everybody out for a minute. And so I don't really when I started looking at the numbers, like I think looking just November was kind of skewed. So anyway, I was just more
No,
interested in
I
kind of
agree
like
because
a
there's too much
12-month
change.
picture, like the
Yeah.
rolling average. I don't always look at that, but it just kind of spoke more to me in this situation. Anyway, so our average sales prices, it's gone up a little bit, but it's, probably about 10,000 more than it was this time last year,
Okay.
which is, pretty steady increase, kind of
Yeah.
what we used to see,
Yeah.
around,
That's right. Like it's supposed to be, 1 to
like it's
2%.
supposed to be. Yeah. So that's been interesting. And I've noticed different little pockets. So Huntsville versus Madison City, which both are in Madison County. What's interesting about those two, Madison's a little bit more a higher sales price and sought
Hmm.
after than Huntsville. But what's I found interesting is that while our average sales price it, between the two of them, Madison is definitely higher than Huntsville, but they've both gone up. So
Oh, that's
I don't know.
good.
It's
That's
just
good. What about like
it's not
day?
that drastic. Last year was like, oh my gosh, it's up
Well,
seventy-five
because
thousand
it went up
dollars.
20%. Like it went
Yeah,
insane. Yeah.
yes, it went insane, and so everything just is a little bit more, normal. And
Stable. Yeah.
yeah, we're at like a 30-day days on market, which I think you mentioned on your call last week. I welcome as well. Like I don't need to process 60 offers on a listing. That's insanity. So
Yeah. Gives you time to
I'll take
actually breathe
one
and
or two
think.
at a time is great.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So what about you,
So,
Steve? What do you see in the Charlotte area?
So from January just to where we're at now, our price point has actually gone up pretty significantly. I believe in January we were at on average Charlotte was 454,000. The county of Mecklenburg was 470, and right now it sits at 523,000 as an average
Wow.
whoa.
Charlotte. And
Wow.
Charlotte and Mecklenburg, they trail each other really closely. So Mecklenburg County is right at just a little bit better at 538,000 on average. So we've definitely increased quite a bit on average this year in sale price.
Yeah.
Our days on market, we're right at 24 and 25.
Wow.
But I think that Charlotte has been and proven to be a very resilient market through a lot of the economic ups and downs.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people talk about it as the little engine that could because it just always
Keeps
seems to.
trucking along.
Aw.
Yeah, so everyone our closest city is Atlanta, and there's a lot of heavier ebbs and flows there than what we experience here in Charlotte. So we just have very good, consistent growth. We have a lot of people that are coming to the Charlotte area because Charlotte is the second largest banking capital in the country, next to New York City, and that's a lot to say.
I did not know that fact.
Yeah, that's a lot to say for a metropolitan city because we're not a primary market like Atlanta, Boston, New York City. We're still metropolitan. So our numbers are really good. I will say that I'm enjoying the market where it's at right now, especially trying to help my buyers. There's a lot more flexibility for them. There's different strategies, and I feel like I'm able to employ a lot of the strategies that I've learned over time that the past 2 years I might not have been able to use for them because you just had to show up, give an offer, for X amount over asking, a ridiculous due diligence fee, things like that. But there's more negotiations.
Right.
I wouldn't say that our list to close price, in January, I believe was 104%. And right now we're still at 90, right at 98%.
Yeah, that's like we're at 98% too. And our days on market have gone up a little bit. They're like 36, not that much. And our prices have leveled off. I mean, I just pulled them today and they're down 0.5%. So I mean, it's literally $2,000 off from where it was last year. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But then leading into it, that was a good segue, Steven. So what are one of the strategies for your buyers?
Yeah, so I look at a lot of things when I'm coming into making an offer on behalf of a buyer. I look at days on market, and our days on market has increased a little bit from earlier this year. It's still pretty short, but some of these homes, you can look at them if it's been on the market for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I'll talk to my buyer and I'll say, hey, and it depends on the buyer's situation. Do they need closing costs? Is the home a little bit older? Will it need repairs? And so right now, as long as the property is within the margins of the surrounding area, I'll usually, and if it's an older home especially, I'll usually advise that we go in at full price because I like to look at the house as I'm walking through the property and try to pick up on things as best as I can. When we go through our inspection process, if we offer 10, 15,000 under list price, and then we get an inspection report and the house needs repairs, the seller's less likely to want to negotiate on those repairs if we've already come off the top $10,000 to $15,000. So as long as the property is within, the range of comparable market analysis for the other homes in that area, then I'll advise that we go on full price. We'll get our inspections done, get closing costs covered, get home warranties covered for the buyers. On this last property that I just went under contract on, we had $12,000 in seller concessions for repairs and closing costs, and we had the home warranty covered for them, and it was a 35-day close. And I did not get to see that earlier this year or even last year. Yeah. It was
that's a good win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
So Shelby, what about you? What do you recommend buyers? Are you seeing anything that you can do a little bit differently to set them above, or are you having any issues with that right now?
I think it's super important to just start by reaching out to the listing agent and asking them what the situation is. I am blown away by the number of people that don't call me on the listing side before showing one of my properties. I'm like, hey, I have a contract, by the way. You could have asked. Yeah. It blows my mind. Like, it's the first thing we do. Call and talk to the agent. Hey, what's the most important thing to your seller, and then some things that we've had to adjust this year. No one was asking for closing costs last year at all. That wasn't even a thing, and then if you did, you weren't going to get you weren't going to win. You weren't going to get the house,
That's exactly right.
So we had to kind of go back, and I'm like, hey team, you've got 2 boxes, if not others, but at 2 boxes to negotiate in now. So it's not just the sales price. It's also this other box. And if you don't negotiate in this other box, asking for closing costs, you're losing out because they are being coached and expected now to have to deal with some closing costs. And so I feel like if you don't negotiate in that box, you're leaving money on the table.
No, I 100% agree with you. And it is a good time that you can actually negotiate, which, like I think I said last week too, it makes it more fun. Makes it give us a chance to do our job, right? But it is I like this market better where everybody's more negotiable with everybody. Your buyers are more negotiable, your sellers are giving a little bit more, and it's more of a win-win for everybody. But
I just
Shelby, I
think
think
it's
it's super
good.
important for the communication. I'm agreeing with you 100%. It's amazing how many agents never pick up the phone. And I'll check my email like usually beginning of every morning and the end of every evening. And during the day I'm busy, but I'll get like emails about, and I'm like, wait, why didn't you call me or text me or, pick up the phone and communicate?
Yeah.
Well, and I'll get an offer, and I've never even talked to the agent before, and I'm thinking, how did they not even reach out? I don't know. I would want to know the whole situation. And then I think the other important thing is like what Steven was saying, like, get with your buyer. What's the most important thing to them? Like
Yes.
every situation is different, and I think that this is all kind of like duh. But we've all been such order takers the last year. Like, I mean,
You're
we just
right.
get in the habit of, what do you want? What do you want? And you just write it down and present an offer. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, well, what is the best thing for that buyer? We, without getting too far into it, we had one come up where the buyer was like, oh, we're going to do owner financing and blah, blah, blah. And then when we started writing it up, I'm like, whoa, why are they doing this? Like, what's happening? And so I was like, have they even tried to get pre-approved? Like, to get a better rate than what the owner was offering. And we called, and turns out they could get approved for a much better rate, and had we just been order takers, like, we would not have really
Taking
been
that
looking
next
out
step.
for our client's best interest,
Yeah, that's right. Taking
So
that
you
next
just
step.
have to take it one step further, ask the questions they don't know to ask, like you said, this is our time to shine again,
That's exactly.
I don't want to be an order taker. That's no fun.
Amen. Right. We actually get paid a good amount of money for this job. Let us do our job.
Let me earn it.
It's nice to use the experience that we've learned over all of these years in practice and finally be able to apply that again. The past couple of years have kind of sucked because I've had to coach my buyers and set proper expectations. Like, hey, if you want this house, you have to do X, Y, and Z. There's not a negotiation. And now this more or less, aside from the interest rates being a little higher, this reminds me of when I started in 2015. I feel like the market is just a little bit more stabilized. We're in a seller's market still right now. Charlotte supply, I think, is 1.5 months, or like right at 45 days. So still very seller's market, but sellers are getting a little more panickier. That's
because it's taking 32 days versus
right. Correct. And then they want to drop the price immediately. They kind of lose faith in the value of their home if it hasn't sold in a week or 2 weeks, and they'll call and say, hey, we need to do a price reduction. But I truly believe in setting proper expectations up front with the person that you're working with. And also, pricing is so important from the get-go. You need to understand market trends and where the market is going and price accordingly to that. Because if you start chasing the market, your days on market's going to increase, and the amount of the offers that you're going to get back, they could potentially decrease. So getting it right from the start is super important.
100%. I think that is key. I think that is really key. So then what other advice do you give your sellers other than make sure we come up with a fair marketable price? What else for sellers?
So sellers, we need to talk about, again, it's a sliding scale when we do this. So depending on the time, my seller's time, every situation and every transaction, every person is very different. So when I meet with my sellers, I need to understand what their needs are.
That's right.
If their time frame, if they have to go, okay, we might need to price a little more aggressively considering the market conditions that are going on right now. There are fewer buyers in the buyer pool than there were earlier, especially around the holiday season. But I talk to them about where they need to be and how quickly they need to be there, where we need to price it accordingly so that they can meet their goals. I set proper expectations of days on market and what they can look forward to and expect as far as showings. We have a lot of tools that we can utilize when we're showing these numbers to our sellers, and I really think that helps alleviate some of their concerns and their nervous tension with the process. And again, I want to make sure
knowledge is power.
Yeah, it is. It gives me comfort. I mean, when I know, and I can also, we sell so much. We don't really sell homes. We sell everything that we're doing. We have to sell our expertise. We have to sell the numbers. We've got to make sure that they believe that we know what we're doing, because we do at the end of the day. And we're trying to help them get to where they need to be, their next big steps.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with you. So I do the same thing. I think setting those expectations are really important. But I mean, I also do like the walkthrough of the property, and we go through everything that needs to be done, starting with the exterior and working our way
Curb appeal.
That's right.
Curb appeal.
Super important. Shelby, anything?
The first thing I thought was literally clean your house.
Yeah.
Clean your house. It's just, come on, like help me out here. Like I don't even know. Like I think we got lazy on the listing side. Like, oh, they'll buy anything, and it's like no.
Yeah.
So we should have always been doing more, but the people haven't, and then we weren't coaching them. Or I would say, you can do this, and this. But it's probably okay not to. But now I'm like, hey guys, we got to do this, and so all the things that we know to do, stage, clean the house, just get it ready, make it smell good, and like you can't smell your own house. Like I promise you can't bring a friend over, a really honest, friend, and be like, hey, this smells like a cat, like,
let me tell you
that kind of stuff.
I went on a listing appointment. This has been about 1.5 years ago. And I walked in and immediately my eyes started watering. I have no real known allergies, but my eyes turned purple and started watering. And she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, how many cats do you have? 12 indoor cats. She's like, do you smell them? I'm like, are you kidding me? Yes. I smelled every one of them. It smelled horrific. I was like, I'm not sure your house is sellable.
Even if we've never had cats, I feel like we innately know what that smell is. We just it hits you when you walk in.
Nothing against cats, by the way. I'm also allergic. But if you have any pets, anything, I mean, your house can just be funky. It doesn't matter. It could smell like mothballs. Who knows? Like whatever. Yeah. But you need just that kind of stuff, and having those conversations and doing a little more prep work, than we probably did a year ago,
Yeah. And I bought those odorizers, zone, whatever the big things are. And I've got like 5 or 6 of them at my house that I'll take into a listing quickly because sometimes those smells are impossible to get out.
Yeah.
But those deodorizer things are really good.
Have you ever used an ozone machine?
Yeah, that's what I mean, the ozone machine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've got 5 or 6 of them. I couldn't think of what they were called.
Yeah. Then it smells like ozone, which is kind of its own thing. But
see, I know, but then you have your own problems.
Literally, people be like, "What does that smell?" I'm like, "Well, technically, it's the absence of smell.
Yeah, right.
It still has an odor."
Right, my own personal house, I fought with mothball odor, and I'll tell you what I did is I hand smocked all of my children's clothing. Like I'm talking 6 or 7 years of clothes, right? And then I wanted to protect those clothes because I'm telling you, 30 hours, 40 hours per outfit is all my love and attention that I'll pour into these outfits. Wow. And I saved them all by putting them wrapped with mothballs. And so now that I have a grandbaby, I took everything and tried to clean it. Can I tell you 6 months later, I still can't get the mothball smell out. It's like, talk about that pungent smell that is impossible to get out. That is another one.
Yeah, that's tough.
It is tough.
But your clothes are good. At least you don't have any, moths eating your clothes.
No, I don't. But she won't let the baby wear them because they smell like mothballs. And I have done everything I could know possibly to do. I mean, I've hung them outside. I mean, for months at a time. I've washed them. I washed them in vinegar. I've washed them in baking soda. I mean, it's a whole other problem. But anyway.
Well, maybe somebody watching this will have a suggestion and they can help us out.
Yeah.
It's a two-way conversation here,
That's exactly right. And then, Shelby, and you were saying we had so many friends with birthdays. And as soon as you said that, all I could think about was Fred Wolf. So I do want to do a shout out, but I know Fred is Hope Till's birthday as well.
And James Wood and Heather Holiday.
That's right.
Okay. Our dear friends and referral partners. I just love it.
Yes. It's across the country. It's fabulous. Yes, happy birthday. And hopefully everybody's having a wonderful evening and can celebrate with dinner with your loved ones and friends and family and enjoy your birthdays.
I'm guessing they have birthdays that get overrun with Christmas. So
yeah,
just a wild guess.
Yeah, right.
They're like, birthday? What's that?
Yeah. That's the bad thing.
I'll take my October birthday all day long.
Mine's right after Christmas. So
Oh, is it?
It is.
Well, I'll be thinking about you.
Yeah,
that's coming up.
Yes, absolutely. So then, and like wrapping up things, would you recommend buying and selling during the holidays since we're in the holiday season?
Steven?
So buying is during the holiday season is really great for a few reasons. again, the buyer pool has dwindled. Everyone's kind of, as interest rates have gone up, a lot of buyers have left the market. As the holidays come around, a lot of buyers leave the market. So, again, I don't think we still have multiple offer situations that go on in Charlotte. So when you're buying in the holiday, you are not competing with as many buyers. You have more flexibility with negotiations. And I just feel like a buyer has a more even playing field in the holiday season. For my sellers, it's tough. Again, I need to know what my sellers' needs are, because I'll have a conversation. Do you need to get gone? Do you need to sell your home before the year is up, or can you wait until the new year when things ramp up? And I've had listings that have been on market in November, and it got super, super slow in December, almost no showings. And then as soon as January hits, I was bombarded with showings all over again.
Yeah.
So it just, sellers, it's a conversation that I want to have at length with them. With buyers, I'm encouraging them, hey, let's go out and look. There's not a lot of people that are out here looking as well. This could be a really great opportunity for you.
Yeah, and that's the same thing Cindy had said, is less competition. I 100% agree. What do you think, Shelby?
Our market is usually at about 80% activity. The only true slowdown we see, we don't have a winter slowdown, or we don't have 10 feet of snow to deal with, none of that, So
we don't have that either.
The only true slowdown we see is literally Thanksgiving Day to Christmas Day. Traditionally, it's been at about 80% activity, but last year it was more around 70, and this year I don't really have data for that yet. I'm going to think around the same.
Yeah.
So 70 to 80%, but that's still a lot of people looking to buy and sell, and I'll always say there was the one year that I sold 3 houses on Christmas Eve, and
there's always that year.
There's always that year. I thought my mother was going to kill me. Not sure she's gotten over it to this day. It was like our Christmas is Christmas Eve. So I was just like, I'm sorry, I got to handle this contract. Well, but Mom, I'm paying for Christmas, so, it's just, I always tell people, when it makes sense for you is when you should do the buying and the selling. When does it make sense for your life? If you're coming to Huntsville to check out property over Christmas break, come to Huntsville over Christmas break. I do have a seller that was looking at going live Christmas week, and I was like, let's hold off a week. Let's just kind of see, just in case, But if they were adamant about doing it and they just thought it was super important to list on that week, I would do it. I think it'd be okay, but might be better to wait. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the people that are actually looking to buy and sell during the holidays are serious, right? Yeah. I think you don't have a lot of tire kickers. For the good thing about listing during that time frame, you're not going to have 500 showings, but the 5 showings you have are going to be really strong buyers that are coming ready to buy.
Yeah.
So I always think that's good. Well, I think we had a good time, guys, and thank you for your time and your advice and your friendship and love.
All of it.
Absolutely.
We love you too. Thank you for having us.
This is so good. Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that y'all have a fabulous holiday.
We hope you have the same. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
See you soon.
Bye.